Hollywood hates adoption. That's right. They're rejecting Kirk Cameron's new movie, Lifemark, because the main character had the audacity to be alive. So the Kendrick brothers have a new movie coming out. It's called Lifemark. Obviously, the Kendrick brothers are very successful producers in the Christian film realm, but apparently it's getting some pushback from Hollywood studios. There's an article in the Washington Examiner. Kirk Cameron talks about this. He says that the movie, which is about life and adoption, it's an 18-year-old young man who birth mother finds him and he discovers a staggering truth from his past. He's quoted, this is Kirk Cameron, said, "I thought it was amazing. That's just good old-fashioned cowardice. Even the so-called faith divisions of studios would rather pass from tens of millions of dollars and support horror, violence, drag queen movies, and then risk doing anything that celebrates life." So there's some pushback on this film because of the pushback on pro-life. We saw very similar things with Unplanned. It was very difficult for that movie to get in any kind of theaters or distribution partners because it dealt with exposing Planned Parenthood, talked about a true story of kind of coming out of that. I don't even want to get into what Planned Parenthood is, but to get out of that organization, we'll just leave it at that. But this is interesting because this movie isn't about abortion. It's about adoption. And, like when we look at what studios would tell Kirk Cameron and the Kendrick brothers and the people who are trying to distribute this, Kirk Cameron was one of the executive producers. He said it isn't about abortion, but the studios would tell him, and this is out of this Washington Examiner article, that they wanted to stay clear of it because it hints at the topic following the Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade. They won't risk anything that even smells like it, Cameron added, and they'll pass up tens of millions of dollars. I just think that shows that there's not a lot of backbone there. And we agree, there's not a lot of backbone in Hollywood, even in the faith divisions, things like that. Like they're still making decisions on public opinion, public sway. Those are how those companies are designed to operate. We operate a little bit different. One of the things that we find with Creator Films as a company that is equity crowdfunded, we're beholden to our investors, we're beholden to our audience. We want to get the word out. We want to tell stories that inspire and engage, teach, and highlight the truth of Christ, the truth of a biblical worldview. And we think that this is, just a required growth of the industry, a required growth of society, really. What we've seen through platforms like Facebook and big, massive corporations like Google and Apple and Amazon is that as things get larger, they become more monolithic. And as they get larger, there's convenience from that, the systems that they provide, but there's also almost authoritarian rule through those systems. And you lose out on some of the things that you don't even realize you're missing sometimes. The film here, Lifemark, again, this is a story about adoption. And if movie studios don't want to distribute this, they're trying to keep away from it. How do you think social media advertisement, how do you think, news organizations, how do you think Google search algorithms, how are these things going to affect Lifemark? Because as these pieces of technology have become so integrated into our lives, what's been robbed is our independent kind of researching. When we have a monolithic kind of big media, big tech, big government joint monster that is feeding us information, we think what they tell us to think. And there's really no way around that unless we're going outside of that kind of monstrous control of the flow of information. So this speaks on a bigger issue to me. It's one of the reasons why we founded this company, one of the reasons why we encourage you to invest in the company, to pray for the company, to follow us on social media, things like that, because we think that companies like this, these equity crowdfunded companies, the crowd-based commerce is important, not just for the future of growth and things like that, but the future of our souls, the future of our cultural values. We cannot have these monolithic corporations determining what we're allowed to say and think and do. The United States, at very least, and much of the Western world is based on free speech and the ability to speak and be heard. And this is not what's going on here. When you have only a few power brokers, that keeps free thought from coming out and being explored. And we need to wrestle with things like that. LifeMark, everything that I've seen about it, I've not seen a preview or anything like that. I have no connection with the film, but everything that I've seen about it seems like a very inspiring, true story that I think Christians should give a chance to and spend some money on to go see in the theater or, rent it online, however they are able to see it, and support, really the values of life in all areas that we live in the United States and around the world. So I encourage you guys to see this movie. Thought you might enjoy hearing a little bit about the going-ons behind it, and just another example of trying to limit or silence the impact of these positive messages that are God-centered, God-fearing, and really encouraging a Christian worldview to the rest of the world. So if you like this video, like, subscribe, share, follow, whatever you can do. We would love to see you in our next video. We would love to even hear responses to this video and others. We love to get the engagement and be able to say hi through the comments. So comment, and we will see you in the next video.